far since, let's say, since the end of the 2024 year. So if you remember, we made a follow-up, extensive follow-up campaign for a supernovae called SN24 2024A IFS. If you remember, this follow-up campaign was triggered by an external collaborators from the ZTF collaboration, Sean Brennan, who was moved now to another institute. He told me that he was interested in using the data we took for this supernova, but he has to think more deeply about the project he wants to push for a population of supernovae, including this one for which we got images. So I have to recontact again Sean to know if what are his plans for this supernova actually. So there is no clear publication project, at least for this supernova, but we'll try to push for having something. So I will let you know, obviously. Then we observed GRBs. A lot of GRBs happened from last October, since now. There was this 241001A burst for which Michael took one image. There is no grammar publication for this burst, but there is a SVOM publication that is already in good shape. I don't remember if I provided the data of Michael to the SVOM team to include this data into the paper. I have to check, but it's still the right time to be part of this paper. And so if they accept us to be part of this publication, I will probably add your name, Michael, to this publication. I know very well the author of this, so I hope he will agree to add that author. We'll see. Then 241025A, so 5 images taken by Michael again. So there is a publication plan between Grandma and an external collaboration. So it's kind of old burst. I have to dig into the Grandma GRB group to know what is the status of this publication about this burst, because it's not clear to me right now, but there was something kind of well advanced in terms of analysis and a publication project for this burst. So probably, Michael, you might be involved in this again. There is the Grandma paper that is almost ready about this GRB 241030A that turns out to be one of the brightest GRB afterglow ever detected. So it's a very bright burst. The leading author of this publication is Jean-Grégoire Ducoin from Grandma, so you might know him. Maybe you have heard his name. And so this is nearly ready for circulating the draft of this paper to all of you, at least to the authors, to the observers that are listed here. And of course, all the observers that who are listed here are part of the paper as co-author. So I think the plan is to submit this paper by October this year. I also made these slides so that you can check later at home if I missed your name in front of each follow-up campaign here. If you remember that you made observations and your name is not appearing in front of one of these GRB names, please contact me later in private by email or whatever, so that I can arrange this. Okay, so I continue on 2025. We got this 250103A burst. No, I should not mention this. So there was an image from Mark, but there is no publication plan for this burst, unfortunately. There is a publication project for this burst 250205A. I know also quite well the author here, and so I think we could participate to this SWAM publication by providing the data we have. We will see if they accept the data or not, but I think we could join this publication project of the SWAM collaboration. So once all the other GRBs written in white, well, either there is no follow-up campaign, we didn't follow up this burst, or we made follow-up, but there is no currently there is no publication plan for this burst. It's well, let's take this as it is, but it's just also to show you that GRBs, sometimes it's hard to guarantee there will be a publication after each gamma burst. We cannot say 100% of the burst will have a publication, but the more data we have usually, then the better chance we have to have a publication. So, but it's a bet sometimes when you start observation, we have no idea if there will be a publication. The last burst here, 2503 27B. We got 26 images here from 3 different observers. And so I also know that there is a SWAM publication under preparation here. And so we may think about also joining this publication project. So this will be great for these 3 observers also to be part of this. I don't think there is a grandma publication for this burst. So we'll see if we join the SWAM publication. We continue on April, so there is also another SWAM publication about 250419A again, and this is under preparation. I have to ask the SWAM team if they agree to accept our data and include Michael here in the publication project. Would be great. I'm going to highlight this 250424A burst, for which we have a grandma plus in association with SWAM publication project. We got a lot of images from Peter, from Mike, from Roger, especially to try to track the afterglow, the end of the afterglow emission, but also the rising supernova that could be associated to this long gamma burst. And so it seems that we have hints of detection of this supernova component that would clearly validate the core collapse supernova scenario for this long gamma burst. So this is under the lead of the grandma GRB group and also the SWAM collaboration. So you will be certainly included in this publication. I will also contact all of these observers each time the publication is under the process of being reviewed or submitted. 250502A, there are 7 images that have been provided by Mohamed, Mike, and Simone, and there will be probably a SWAM publication also again on this burst to be confirmed. If we can join again, I cannot guarantee, but I will ask, of course. Okay, you can see that on the May month to June, okay, we were kind of quiet. Then we moved to June and July month. Some bursts for which we got images, some for which we didn't have any image, but all of these bursts, for what I know, we don't have any publication plan for those bursts. That doesn't seem to well to have further interest right now. This is August and September, so we might have a publication project for 250812A, but this is not sure at all. That's why I put a big maybe here. So thank you to Mike for providing a lot of data here for those bursts, also at least for trying to detect the afterglow counterpart. I have to say that we tried by, I think on August and July, we tried to make a GCN circular for all of those bursts each time we receive data. So here from Mike, but from others sometimes. So we will try to valorize the data at least in GCN publication. And the last slide for this is well, the end of the September month here. There were data taken by Mike here on the 20C burst, 0920C burst. I think it's an interesting burst, so there might be a publication, but it's a very young burst. People are still analyzing the data, so when you see here no publication plan, that doesn't mean that there will be never publication plan. It's just a young burst, and it's sometimes hard for scientists to know if they will publish something. Sometimes they wait for more data to be sure that it's worth it to publish or not. The last burst 24A, I think we published a GCN circular, and also 20C, we published a GCN circular, so with the Mike data, so that's interesting. I will just finish to say that for all the bursts for which we have here no publication plan, blah, blah, blah. The Grandma collaboration is going to start a GRB catalog for all the observations that have been taken so far by the Grandma and Kilonova Cacher collaboration. We'll try to build a catalog of our observations. So I think this all no publication plan burst can finish into the Grandma catalog, and at least we will valorize those data in a big paper where there will be a lot of GRBs that will be shown what has been done between Grandma and Kilonova Cacher. So consider that this no publication plan can turn into catalog publication, Grandma catalog publication. I think that's all. There were some ZTF and I think some gravitational wave electromagnetic counterpart candidate follow-up, but I didn't find the time to dig into the data here, but and I'm not sure there will be publication plan for these candidates. But we also got some data from few gravitational wave alerts that triggered the electromagnetic follow-up from external groups also. And that's all for me. So don't forget to look at this list of bursts once you will have time to read these slides and to see if your name is really appearing in the right in front of the right name, or if I missed some information. All those information are based on the KNC website, where you and everybody can actually check who did what and how many images were provided for every follow-up company. I'm stopping here. Don't know if there are questions. Could we? Okay. Yes, it's a direct question to me. Yeah. Well, we can. Could we write and publish independently things? That's a good question, Christina, to me. It's hard to publish something by our own for gamma burst because we would need a very, very rich data set or to sample a very unusual feature unseen in previous GRB afterglows. If we manage to do this, yes, there could be a publication by KNC by our own. But so far, we sparsely sampled the GRB afterglow light curve, so we are more or less a data provider to other publications. So our contribution is to enhance the data set of people to improve the modeling of the afterglow emission thanks to our complementary data. But it's hard for us right now to make our own paper. But I think our own paper could be, well, it's not our own like KNC, but it would be Grandma plus KNC would be this GRB catalog actually. Because it will be the way for us to really valorize the data we have provided and write what we want about the observations and stuff.
Okay. Well, that answers my question.
For example, for the supernova of 250424A, so we could have, well, we have few points, but we could have made a paper based on the supernova associated to this long gamma burst. This is not the plan. We joined the SWAM publication, but if we had a bit more of data set, we might have been able to do this. Because GRB and supernova connection can deserve a paper by their own. But it's not the case.
Okay, thank you. That clarifies. I think it is something we could discuss. Maybe having a KNC independent publication. Maybe just to talk about KNC itself, how it works.
Yes,
It's an idea. And
that,
then,
yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I have this idea for a long time to publish a paper summarizing what is KNC, the KNC world, let's say. So how it works, and so also what are the different way to interact with KNC people. So yes, this is something we should start thinking of writing. Especially we have now enough statistics to show to the people that you all guys are able to provide the scientific ready data with good quality, good depth for let's say moderately faint transients. So it can apply to several science cases. I have to say that I've been contacted some yesterday or 2 days ago by Fabian Schussler, who is running Astro Colibri application that many of you know, I guess. And so we might have planned, this has to be discussed again, but we might have planned to follow up also TDE events with KNC, if this is something that people would like to do. Well, I'm not going to discuss details here, but once we have better ideas, I could also introduce tidal disruption events for KNC. So, and in this case, the time scale, it's a week to months time scale. So it better fits the ability of our community to follow these sources. Gamma burst, it's very difficult because you have to be right on time and make a follow-up for hours the whole night, etc. So it's quite complicated. But for supernova and TDE, it probably better fits our ability to respond to alerts. But our ability to respond to alerts is something that interests, I think, the scientific community and could be put in the paper.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we could we can make it a part of the we can send a survey out. We could ask questions to our members to see how quickly they can um, get to their telescope. So we can also like go and look back maybe at some of the chats and see how quickly we saw some people like making observations as well.
Yeah, I keep this idea, and yeah, we should yeah, it can be started right away to at least writing sections. Okay, yeah, some ideas.
Some ideas. Also, this will be a later part of the presentation, but you had mentioned that when we were discussing the website, that we should have a place where we discuss like all of KNC's like active science contributions. And then you mentioned that we had a few statistics on the frequency, the timing of our observations. I think that would also be an excellent part to put in a lot of these, like the GCNs you mentioned when we release them. It could be like a part of the active like science page that I am building, I'm writing.
Yes.
Right. All right. So if there's no more on that for now, obviously questions can be asked at any time. Damien, please chime in if you remember something. I will move on to the next section. And so the mid-year feedback form went out at the end of the spring, at the beginning of summer, and you guys had made a few commentary on things you would like or felt were needed. And so the summer has been about there were several passive comments about the websites, both internally and externally of KNC. And so I worked through the summer to kind of start coding the website to be a little bit more serviceable to everybody. We've run into a few issues with being able to get those changes to go live, but at least the website is more or less prepared. Damien and I have also discussed teaching a few of you how to use STD pipe. Unfortunately, the servers for that are a little bit overwhelmed at the moment, and so we are looking into hopefully getting KNC its own STD pipe server, and then that'll be coming. Those discussions will be happening over the next few weeks. We had a few comments on the FAQ page and the usability of the website, especially as a new person. And so these are changes that I've made, and I can show you guys that in a moment. And then with that, with SD Pipe hopefully coming, SD Web coming online for everybody, we could start hosting workshops on the analysis and processing for those who need it as KNC becomes more integrated into the pipelines that Grandma uses. And so image analysis section on the left, um, and a few of these will also be going live soon. So we have plans, we've discussed it, we now have direction. The summer was a little bit slow going due to changes in a lot of different things. So after each of the interviews, I have synthesized a lot of your guys' materials, rewatched a few of the recordings. Thank you to those who were still nervous about speaking in English to me and for still participating and for submitting the forms. I really appreciated you guys still wanting to be involved in hearing your stories. If I could be a polyglot, I would, just to hear more of how you guys kind of got into astronomy. Those materials will be going up slowly on the new KNC website and on our social media. I will run by any quotes, phrases, recordings, snapshots before they are released. Damien.
Yes, so I'm supposed to make an interview with you on Monday.
Yep.
I just wanted to know by curiosity, do you make this interview only in English or people can answer in their own language, mother tongue?
So for the first ones were just like conversations between them and myself. Um, I did I did think that we should probably have people record the questions to them in their own language. But my first stage was to kind of see their answers, say, hey, I really like that you said this. Would you like to record this part as an audio, or would you just like it to be quoted on a written format? So that was the initial run. So if anybody who submitted wants to make recordings of their answers, you can send it to me. We did have that discussion before.
And so far you sorry, I'm asking on real time now, but you got mostly English native speakers or
I Anybody who responded to me, so the interviews were done in English. Um, I asked them if they felt comfortable doing it in English. If they told me no or they were struggling, I said, "Would you prefer to fill out a like a form with your answers?" And they said yes. Um,
okay.
I still spoke to them. I still spoke to those who maybe didn't feel as comfortable speaking in English for a little while, with whatever they felt comfortable answering, saying hi to them, translating a little bit from Google Translate. But the recordings, those who are not comfortable speaking in English or having the interview in English, do not have recordings. They have the forms.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So okay. So I will be probably the only one with my awful French accent being on record.
No, there are several people with our members have accents. We're an international group, and there were many moments where I was like, "Hey, could you repeat that?" Or they asked me, "Hey, you're talking fast. Could you repeat that?" So it was an international exchange. I think it's cool that we can hear the accents. It's why it's taken me a little bit to get through the recordings because I want to be able to put subtitles that are accurate to what they said, because storytelling and stories
Yep.
about their own individual experiences are very unique to them, and I want to get that wording right. So that's what's
Okay.
taking a little bit.
Okay. Thank you for doing this. Thank you.
No problem. All right. So what time is it? Okay, we're running good on time. So the CanC website, I'm going to pause for right now. One moment. I'm going to open up the CanC website and then the app that I use to make some edits. Okay, so for whatever reason, on the UMN browser, Damien, the Kilonova Catcher website doesn't open up automatically. It's only on the general Google Chrome that it opens up for. And so I've noticed this with like a few different computers. The browsers that are not connected to accounts that are edu based, it has trouble opening up the KNC website. And then for general browsers, it usually opens up after the first or second try. I kind of went asked a few different people I know from different universities and from different businesses to check the website, and that's the feedback I got. I forgot to mention that to you. Alrighty. So currently we have the KNC website here. This is our general login page. But it's usually not this page that you come up to. And so when I submitted, just to remind everybody, I've been in conversation with Sarah Kern, who leads NASA Citizen Science, and they uh, really felt that KNC had a lot of potential. They really liked how science oriented we were. I've been repeatedly told how unique KNC is, um, with how we do science and how we involve our members. And they said that we really needed to highlight that because they did not feel like it was highlighted on the KNC website. And so I took a little bit of the wording here with their recommendation and then made some changes. And so these changes have not yet been published. So you're still seeing the original website. But now with the edits I've made, um, we have, it takes us right to the registration. This will be the homepage. So regardless of if you have, if you just type in Kilonova Capture, right here, sorry. If you just type in this, it won't take you to the sign in page. It'll take you directly here. We reworded some of this. Obviously, I have not edited this yet, Damien, sorry. But we're opening up then with a kind of bringing in people to the actual science we do, what Kilonova are, without too much background information, because we want them to be interested in. And I'm going to send people PDFs of this. So if anybody is interested in evaluating the changes I've made and maybe giving some feedback, please let me know. This way I can see from the amateur or the volunteer astronomer's point of view. Hey, this is really good. This is really communicative for somebody who's new to the science, or hey, this is still pretty dense. And this way we can start that way when we do get our website onto NASA, that as soon as people go to our website, our page, they have a feeling like they can do this, they can handle this, or if they don't know how, they can learn. Because that's going to be our biggest bridge outside of the large equipment we need. And so here I take a few points from, what is the science behind what we do, what is needed, and then how do we facilitate the fact that we're such a technically heavy citizen science project. And so that's what this main page is. And then it links us then to a deeper look into the science behind Kilonova capture and the workflow. Changes are ongoing to the website, but this is really what we're looking at so far. And so instead of a FAQ page like we have before, we're going to have a science page. And so I'm going to go back to the KNC website as we have it now. And so here we have a lot of information, and it's good information. It's clear, but it's clear in the eyes of a scientist or somebody who has a bit of experience. But it can be a bit dense for those members coming in who may not have the experience or the vernacular to understand the jargon that we use. And so now so at the beginning, in the front page that I designed, I reworded some things. So we're just kind of introducing topics, 1 or 2 sentences to explain what kilonovas are, what gravitational waves are. And then I start to introduce on the science page what multi-messenger astronomy is, why kilonova capture is, exceptional, and then what type of instruments do we use to connect the fact that gravitational waves are not optical? Neutrinos are not optical, but they are coming from space. We can observe them. And so we're trying to build an intuition here for the people who may be coming in to kilonova capture. I'm sure Anthony Anthony, I actually think you'd be a great candidate to kind of read through the changes I've made and see how it connects to you since you are our newest member. And so I'm not
Just
going to make you guys
I'm just
read this
looking
out.
right now, and I'd be happy to do that. I can talk to you later about this. Be happy
Yeah,
to.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Wonderful. Perfect. If anybody else would like to join in on this, we could schedule a separate Zoom session and I could put us all in an email thread or a channel, send the PDFs to you guys to view, to read, and leave comments on. And then for any changes you guys contribute, or for any work you guys contribute, I'd be happy to credit you on the website, just like I did with the manual. And so here I start to explain the science. I do incremental explanations of everything with articles for people to read, as well as the literature side of this. If you guys have any recommendations, if anybody has done, user interface or development, or say, hey, this would catch my eye as a viewer, or hey, this would make me really interested, or hey, this is way too gaudy, you need to take a step back. The visual information, the visual feedback is also really important. If you guys want me to do a form, I can. If you guys just want to send me a chat on Slack, I can create a channel for this. Please let me know what you think is best. Damian, let me know what you would prefer for this. And then we come to the last page, which is how Kilonova Catcher works. And so here is where I expand on the topic of grandma. It's done a little bit on the new main page, but here I really connect grandma to Kilonova Catcher. I also explain how we also function independently. And this way people can now understand what the day-to-day life is, day-to-day life in Kilonova Catcher is.
Christina?
Hmm?
No, you didn't change the screen, right? I'm still on the F page.
Oh, shoot. Or how long has that been? Okay, why is it? Has it been doing that the whole time?
No,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that is lovely. All right, well, I'm not going to go through all that again, but I will show you guys what I was talking about each time. Lovely. Yeah, so it's opening up that's why, because it was opening up on my Safari instead of on Chrome. That's my apologies, guys. Thank you for noticing. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. All right, so this is what I mean by the main page. Now, can everybody see it?
Yes, yes, we can see
Okay,
it.
I'm gonna do something. Here we go. Okay, so on the right is the current rendition of the Kilonova Catcher website. You know, we introduce grandma, we talk about what we do. I had a lot of commentary that it was very dense, it was a little bit confusing. So I scaled it back a little bit, kind of made a bit of a slogan for KNC, introduced the topics of what a kilonova is, our namesake, and why our science is particularly different is because we work with gravitational waves. I haven't yet introduced the topic of multi-messenger astronomy yet. Um, and on the website, instead of explaining, um, a lot of the science here, because the original website does not have like what is needed, what it looks like to work inside Kilonova Catcher. It's just the science. To many people, that was overwhelming. And so I reconstructed it so that we explain what we actually are looking for, what is needed to work in Kilonova Catcher, and what and how Kilonova Catcher works. So that's where I introduced grandma for the first time. And then from that main page, we go to the science page. And so instead of the FAQ page that we had before, which had a lot of good information but was very dense from the feedback I got, I now introduce the concept of multi-messenger astronomy. Really start to introduce this intuition of how gravitational waves are separate and how particle detection is separate from regular observing that we do, but how they work together. So I'm starting to introduce these topics. And then here's a drop down that explains in more detail. So everything that's on the FAQ is here. Some of it needs to be rewritten a little bit, but I have also introduced more general language to make it more consumable for the individual who may not be familiar with our science, whether a professional or not. And then don't be cranky. It's being cranky. And then here I break down, what gravitational waves are, what do we know about them, the history of it. So then I start to introduce the electromagnetic sources. So this is where Kilonova Catcher comes in. Why neutron stars and black holes are part of this system that we're studying. Really trying to disseminate the information in a way that's easy for them to understand and build an intuition that we are optically observing as counterparts of something that is not optical, and that for a lot of people is hard to understand. And so I talk about the Kilonova emission, and then I talk about obviously our heralding event, which is GW 170817. From there, people can either go back to the register page or the workflow page. I will also be adding a blog and a science activity page as well to the website. And then how it works is also relatively complete. And so here's where we left off. And so we really don't have a page like this on the original website. We've talked about grandma and the follow-up strategy, but there really isn't a description for how Kilonova Catcher works, in great detail on the website so people can be more familiar with it. And by this point, by the time they've read the first page, by the time they've gotten through the science, they're now more familiar with the information they're getting. And we can then proceed to provide more technical information, like, what do the gravitational wave alerts look like? What do the GRB alerts look like? What equipment do you need? What will you be doing with your images? What will we be doing with your images? How do you know when to observe? What is grandma? How does grandma work with us in greater detail? How does grandma function in greater detail? And then obviously, when you take your images, how you upload them, how the science team works, and then how the results are shared. I am also thinking about integrating the manual onto this website. Damien is pushing for it as well. So there'll be a page dedicated to the manual so that we don't have to go through a separate GitHub.io page for it. And so that's what's complete right now. The other websites are the other pages. So the science activity page, the blog spot, which will have, hey, Kilonova catchers observing, or hey, this member did this, or Christina's presenting over here. That the kind of the social media, the blog spot is almost complete and then the science activity page is what I am currently working on. And so that's what I've done with the website thus far. Let me go back to the presentation. If anybody would like to get more involved in this, if anybody has more feedback, I will share these sets of questions that I have for you guys. I can also create a channel for you guys to leave feedback on. I will drop the PDFs of these excuse me, of these websites, at least the interactable ones, on there so you guys can get a good read at them. You can leave, comments and stuff like that as well.
Christina, so could you make even an announcement on Slack with the PDF for not only the people connected here, but for everybody, of course?
Yes.
Would be awesome. And
Yes.
yes, Christina said, don't hesitate to be involved in this review or to give ideas. Maybe there is just one thing that you didn't say, or maybe I missed it, but we plan also to put a calendar on the main page of Kilonova Catcher website so that you can follow also the different events that will be organized between the seminars, between these general meetings. If you didn't save it in your own calendar, so you can retrieve it very easily on this calendar page in the KNC website. So that would be, I think, useful for everybody.
Yes, thank you. I did forget to mention that. There will also be a contact us page be put on the KNC website. So if there's any questions that any new members have, or let's say you guys forget one of our emails, you can just go and say, hey, and send an email right there on the web page as well. And so new members, people visiting the website can ask questions. That will also be up there. I have a list of questions that you guys could maybe use to kind of guide your analysis of the changes I've made. I will send them as they are right now, as they are completed. There will be some science rewrite, so like technical writing rewrite. You guys are free to make comments on that as well. And that's what we're looking for, as well as the user interface stuff. And then, of course, if you guys are interested in topics, we have a speaker for next month, and then December and January are up for selection. So if there's anybody you guys maybe are interested in inviting to me to talk, I can reach out to them. If there's any topic you guys want me to do some research on and find a speaker for, please let me know. You can use the form. You can also just email me directly with your requests. It makes it easier either way. Please feel free to send your images in. A few of you guys sent images of your telescopes, yourselves, your setup, some of the activities you guys have done, your skies. Thank you so much. I will be adding those. Please send images with more frequency. Please send events up that you guys are involved in, even if it's just pictures of yourselves going to events. I would love to share those on the social media page. There's only so much of the Kilonova Capture Science I can talk about on our social media. So please feel free to contribute, say, hey, you can post this, hey, you can post this, and I would be happy to continue facilitating that. You can even just send the image, and when I get to it, I will say, hey, what did you guys do here? And I'll make my post. I'm hoping to start making them with more frequency. Yes, why not? That would be great. Yes, pictures of your common observations, because Kilonova Capture, while we have our own unique science, our members do a lot of different things, and I would love to showcase how much you guys actually do. Hopefully with I've sent out feelers, so kind of our parting messages, I have sent out feelers to another 25 astronomy clubs, since we are, sorry, 15 astronomy clubs I get the number right. Yes, 15. I've sent out 15 emails to other astronomy clubs now that we see the website changing and us going on NASA on the horizon. So I'll be making a lot of talks over the next few months, and I'll also be adding that. It's really the same talk over and over again, but I will be talking with Roger Menard sometime in the winter, and I will also add that to the calendar. If there's any events that you guys want to share, again, the social calendar should you guys should be able to add your own events to it if there's anything you want to share with the community, any talks you guys might find interesting or that's going on. And so the social calendar for KNC is not just for KNC events, but anything that the community might be interested in. If there's any issues with that, if you guys are saying, hey, I don't know how this works, to add it and share it there, you can send me the information for the event and say, hey, Christina, could you add this? And I'd be happy to. It can be in general, it can be in Kilonova Capture News, it can be directly to me, it can be an email, whatever works, I can do it. Just gotta let me know. But that is all. Do we have any questions? If there's anything more I can do for you guys, any complaints, anything you want to throw at me, Damien, any further comments?
This is Mike. I got a fast question here. I think the 04 run for Lego's ending in what, November? And
Yes.
I don't know, maybe Damien mentioned it. So what is the plan for potential follow-up candidates? Is it GRBs and like interesting supernovas?
Well, Ruben is coming online. Don't forget that as
Oh,
well.
that's okay.
And that's also something I wanted to ask you guys. But sorry, Damien, go ahead.
Yes, actually, we are going to move from 0 interesting GW candidates to millions of interesting optical transient candidates. Don't worry, Mike. There will be plenty of things to do after the end of the O4 run. I think we will have to take the opportunity also to the end of the O4 run to build still some strategies for O5, but well, there will be time for the next GW run. But so there will be Vera Rubin, and as I mentioned, we might think about, but it's also actually taking the opportunity to have the Vera Rubin alert data to make follow-up campaigns for other kind of violent transients, such as tidal disruption events or fast evolving explosive transient events. And for sure, Vera Rubin will be one of our alert provider.
Yes. Yes, that's something else. Just as a reminder, or maybe I left you guys off with Ruben in June. We're probably gonna go over our meeting a little bit. But since then, I have been to the Ruben Community Workshop at the end of July. I can go over that with you guys maybe at the next monthly meeting. I can also do a separate one to update you guys. If you'd like that, we can do a two-part webinar, one with our guest speaker and then one with myself discussing all the updates I got from the event, from the Ruben Community Workshop, because it's a lot of information. But to sum it up, we're expecting 10 million changes per night. We're expecting, huge amounts of data as Ruben begins to do its survey. And so Ruben is currently in its commissioning phase, its final commissioning phase, which means that the engineers are now finishing building, finishing checking, making final changes, final construction changes to the building, to the telescope, to the machinery. As we speak, that should end sometime mid-October if everything goes to plan. But we know astronomy. So we might, and so this is not necessarily a bad thing. So the quality and the level of data that we're getting was not unknown, but we are not prepared. So the science community is not prepared for the inundation of data that we're about to get. And so even at the University of Minnesota here, we are building brokers or machines that are going to disseminate this information. It's going to act very similarly to how LEGO, Virgo, and Kagra disseminate information through their pipelines, disseminate alerts, but it's going to be with greater frequency. And so If Ruben doesn't begin the survey a little later, that's a good thing because it gives the brokers, especially local brokers or brokers that are individually built by, let's say, the University of Minnesota, not necessarily the large ones like Kafka and stuff like that, to get up and running. And so what that means is that if one of the brokers that's being built, like Boom here at the University of Minnesota or Caltech in partnership, that means that it's possible for Kilonova Catcher. Damien also mentioned that there might be a broker for Kilonova Catcher on the French side to get information streams, which means then that Damien can create filters so that the events that are coming through from Ruben are filtered for Kilonova. And so for Kilonova catchers and for GRB events as well. So sorry, I got distracted reading Damien's message in the chat. So with this inundation information, yeah, the LIGO Virgo detectors are going on a break, but that does not mean we aren't going to be getting alerts of GRB afterglows, of Kilonovas, of other fast transients that Kilonova catcher observes afterwards. So I remember a few of you saying that you guys were very nervous about Kilonova Catcher or Citizen Science's purpose after these large survey telescopes. Well, let's just remember that a survey telescope only observes that single spot in the sky in that filter, maybe once a week. So it is up to us to follow up because these aren't target of opportunity telescopes. And so we will be getting a lot more information, we'll be getting a lot more alerts, and there are a lot of things planned to make sure Kilonova Catcher is involved, or as involved as possible. And if not right away, soon following. And there's a lot of things up in the air, and there's a lot of things up in the air even at the citizen science side. So Damien, go on and go.
I just want to add a comment. There is a difference between pro and amateur in the sense that, well, at least me, I'm always afraid of, let's say, make you waste your time in targets that might not be interesting. And so it's our duty as professional to, let's say, try to characterize all the sources that are found in the sky, but sometimes it's just, I would not say pure waste of time because it's not a pure waste of time, but so we try to select that this is why you didn't receive all the GW alerts that have been detected from binary black hole mergers, for example, during O4. That's why you only receive also Swift localized or SWAM localized gamma ray bursts, and not the Fermi GBM or other kind of bursts that are not very well localized, because you would have to spend too much time on your telescope for probably a minor result. And so for Vera Rubin, we have made this kind of work of filtering the alert stream of Vera Rubin, but still we have to be very careful in not overloading the KNC alert system so that you can really choose the target you want to follow up, but among few ones, not among tens or hundreds per night, because otherwise you won't know what to choose. And so this is the difficulty for us, is to really start from millions and then finish to 1 to 5 good guys. We have the same issues with another mission called Einstein Probe, as I mentioned in the chat, which is a satellite mission observing the X-ray sky that actually detect a lot of X-ray transients, and part of those X-ray transients are really unknowns and has to be characterized and have very high scientific value. But let's say half of them are sources that for us, for the science purpose of Kilonova catcher, have no interest. And so from the detection point of view of Einstein Probe, for example, it's very hard to recognize something that is very interesting from something that is, let's say, a regular transient for which we won't spend much energy. That's why so far we didn't send to you the Einstein Probe alerts. We have to think about filterings also, but so this is just to say that we are entering in a big data era, and so we have to adapt our way to distribute alerts, especially to to you guys who are working during daytime and sometime to time manage to observe. And so I just don't want you to be tired by alerts that have no interest. So that's the challenge for us for Kilonova Catcher. This is also the challenge for us, the professional, but even more for us, I think.
Looks like we're gonna need a lot more amateurs to work on that data.
Yeah. Krista, you are muted.
Thank you. Thank you. So that's the goal. And so what Damien and I are trying to say is that the reason why a lot of the reasons why we are revamping, the KNC website and adding these like, SCD web and stuff like that into your guys's everyday, with Kilonova Catcher, and why there's this huge shift now is because Ruben is going to be unprecedented, in a good way and in a okay, there are problems to solve way. And so it's going to take a little bit for everybody, because now these citizen science leaders like myself and Damien are in the way of this. I talked to people at Ruben who are very interested in Kilonova Catcher, actually, who heard about us, um, and who are interested in helping us build brokers, or use brokers, for our own to create filters for us as well. And so we want to make sure that, yes, there's all these changes in the sky happening, and that um, all these changes in the sky that are happening, but that doesn't mean that you guys are going to be overwhelmed by it. And so we're trying to make sure that we are providing you guys quality information, quality events, so that you don't waste your time, and so that we can have a really good balance of observational opportunity and have good science, good publication come out of it. We are going to have the opposite problem what we have now. We are going to be, our plates are going to be a little too full. Good and bad with that. But overall, this is what the direction we're going in over the next few months. And so, yeah, and so like Damien said, we are not, the professionals for Ruben. And so we are preparing to handle and Ruben itself is trying to handle the great mess it's about to produce, because they are not releasing. They don't think they're releasing a second data preview like they thought they were going to do in January. It might now just be a second data release a year from now, which obviously is kind of like shocking to the community. But that's just because they did not expect to be. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if they knew this was happening. It was just like, yeah, okay, or they just did not expect Ruben to be as capable as it was going to end up being in the end. All in all, there's a lot of kinks to work out in what Ruben and how Ruben will be disseminating information, what information will be disseminated, and how we are going to and how Ruben is going to balance out quality images with rapid follow-up events. Are there any more questions? Damien, any comments? Yes.
No,
Provide.
fine. Yeah, I think we will have some fun with Ruben.
And there'll be lots of updates for you guys as Damien and I talk. I am actually here because I really enjoy working with KNC, but I also am working with Ruben now. I'm funded with Ruben money at the moment. So it's a good balance, and I get to report to you guys to tell you, hey, like, look, this is all the cool stuff that's happening. So I will send an email out in the following days to kind of report on everything we discussed here, as well as some commentary about if you guys would like your involvement in the website changes, and if you would like to have another meeting to discuss what I learned and what I got feedback from at the Ruben Community Workshop, if you're more interested in the engineering and how Ruben is processing images and the quality of the images at Ruben. No, because you guys are French based with American connections. Me,
C'est des Kilonova Catcher.
Yeah, so Heinz asked, do we have anything to fear as Kilonova capture potential US government shutdown? And the answer is no, we do not, because you guys are French based. The worst thing I have to fear is I most likely will not have a job after January. And if anything, maybe it could cause disruptions to LIGO detections, but hopefully not, because that is primarily funded through the NSF. And for whatever reason, the government has kind of kept its hands off Rubin. It was supposed to get a 20% budget increase. It didn't, but it didn't lose any money either. So here's hoping that everything stays, whatever word should go there. All right. I will send that email out. I will ask about the Rubin interest in that webinar. And I will send an email about the website. Are there any other questions, or is everybody ready for the meeting to end? We went 20 minutes over this time. Happy to help, Michael. Thank you for your contributions as always. Thank you everybody for showing up and for your contributions.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, we'll see you all.
Thank you. Thank you for these informations. Very interesting.
All right. Bye-bye. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.